is one of the things we're going to talk about is why is it important for us to discuss this? If you think about it, our world has been turned upside down over the last few years between the pandemic and also with a lot of the violence that has been occurring in the school systems. So not only are ourselves as faculty members, teachers, even parents, the students are also going through a lot of stress because our world has become smaller and smaller. So everything is being publicized on TV, on television, and everywhere else. And this is causing a giant increase in mental health issues between stress, depression, anxiety. And so it's important for us to go ahead and talk about this. And so let's go ahead and get started. During this time frame, we're going to talk about signs that you may find. We're going to have it divided in two parts. The first part is going to talk about students and your children and some of the signs of going back to school anxieties and that you may be seeing that your students are having, or even you as a parent. And then we're going to also talk about tips in coping with those stressors. And then the second part of it is going to be you as a parent and also as a teacher, what you can do as far as looking at the signs and symptoms, the impact that it does have, and then what you can do to help relieve that. And if you have any questions, if you put it in the chat, I'll try to see it, but sometimes it does get kind of distracting. But if you could hold it to the end, that would be great. And of course, we'll have our meditation and then we'll be in our conclusion. So let's think about some of the signs and symptoms that you may find children is having anxiety. Well, if you find actually, if your child is the first day of school, they're going to be clingy. But as they get older, if you find that they're really getting very clingy, don't want you to move, don't want you to go anywhere, that's really an indicator, especially if they've been all right with going to school, they was all excited, but now they're not like that. That's one of the signs that you may want to be noting as being that they're feeling very anxious, restlessness, and fidgety. They just think this case stay still. And it's because their brains is just going through 100 miles an hour trying to figure things out. And they can't stay still. This one complaint of stomach aches. I am going to tell you, I was one of those children that had that problem. I was bullied at school, and I always had fights or kids been picking on me and everything else. And I used to get stomach aches all the time. Used to go to the nurse's office, and then of course they would send me home. Now the problem is we weren't as knowledgeable back then as we are now. And so one of the things when I got home, I was feeling okay. And my mom was kind of questioning, am I faking this? But now we know that this is a sign of anxiety, stomach aches, headaches, and especially when kids are getting, headaches at very young ages. So these are just some of the signs, and don't think because they're not throwing up, they're not vomiting, that they're physically okay. It is that they're suffering something mentally. So really be careful about that and really see and be astute to what's going on with your child. And also teachers too, if you have kids that's, complaining of stomach aches, and if they're doing it on a repeated basis and their parents is taking them to the doctor, then the next thing it may be that they're suffering from anxiety. Some more signs and symptoms. Changes in eating and sleeping habits. They can't sleep, they're having nightmares at night and everything else. They're not eating, or maybe they may be excessively eating. These are just some things that need to look at. And then all of a sudden, just you had this beautiful, positive child, and they was always uplifting. Now all of a sudden, they got this very dark spirit about them. And sometimes it does upset parents when they see this and not really understanding this change in behavior. They just think it's part of growing up. Not necessarily. You want to, if you start seeing some of these symptoms going on with your child or even with your student, you may want to take note of that and really, say, you know what, there's something that's going on. And you may not, just get angry with them because these are their feelings and everything else. And sometimes as parents, especially when we're going through a lot of things ourselves, we may strike out because this may be a little bit too much for us to deal with. Now I got to deal with this. And so sometimes you may be letting out your own anger and frustration on your child. And a lot of times they cannot say, well, mom, I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling depressed. Sometimes they don't understand these things themselves, and they may not be able to verbally say these things out to you. So look at these signs and symptoms and kind of say, you know what, be very careful, not judgmental, and really listen to your children. And if you do see any of these signs and symptoms, sit down and talk with them. But we're going to talk about some of the things that you could do. Okay, so some of the things that you can do to kind of help them as they transition from being at home and having fun with the family, um, and going on vacation. Now they're going into a different environment, especially if it's their first time in school. If they're going to kindergarten, or even if they're going to middle school or high school. One of the things you want to do is help them by fostering a comfortable environment, especially the school environment is going to be completely different, especially with a lot of the violence that has been going on in the school systems lately. Some of the children, they feeling your anxiety as a parent, they've seen it on television and everything else, and they're scared. So by you fostering a feeling of familiarity with the school system, making sure that they understand that these things happen, but the school system is doing something about it. And this is a new environment. So if you just kind of help talk with them, and to help them to understand and to, say, when you go to school, this is what's going to happen. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. And then that way it's not going into this vast, strange environment. The other thing is to be positive. It's sometimes it's very difficult to feel positive in a very negative situation, but guess what? You can do that. Um, and by you taking on that positivity, it's going to also help with your children and also with your students. So that's going to be very, very key in helping to minimize stress and anxiety. And say, let them know this is a great environment. This is something new. This is going to be adventurous. Just use all kinds of different words and phrases and activities to let them know that what now they're going to be embarking on is a new adventure. I used to do that with my son. We was in the military, and as we went traveling to different places every few years, I just made it like a game for him and let him know this is something gonna be really fun and exciting. You're gonna be doing this, you're gonna be doing that. And now, many years later, he's told me that doing those things has helped him to transition from a new environment, whether I was going to a new school or a new duty station. So that's one of the things that you want to do. Also, with our environment, not only with the fact that now some of you are probably still working at home and some of you are going back to work and going back to the office. So this is all a really different environment, especially when we've been during this pandemic. We've been most of the time working from home, and our kids was home going to school from home. Now that we're opening up our doors and finding ourselves going back to work, or the kids going back to a school environment, what you want to do is still foster a sense of being present with your children. And if you are still big, you're going to be at home working and your kids are going off to school, what you want to do is to go ahead and still let them know that you're there for them. And that's by being present from them for them. Now, one of the hardest things for us now because of technology and everything, is that back in the day, and I say that back in the day, when we didn't have computers, when the work was finished at 5 o'clock, you clocked out at 5 o'clock and you went home. Now with technology, guess what we're doing? 5 o'clock is there, you're still on the computer working. And even if you came home from work, you still got your computer and you're logging into emails and you check your emails or your boss is sending you some statuses. I'm guilty of it, but I don't have any children, but I also have to find myself taking some downtime. I found myself communicating with someone at 11 o'clock at night, and it was for a conference that I was attending. And I actually told her, I told her, we need to get off of this and get some rest. And we jokingly would say, well, I'm a night owl, or I do better at night, but your body does not. So in this instance, I'm asking you, is that when you get home, let work be work at work. If you're working from home, set your clock and just say, okay, here's my little workspace. Now my workspace is shut down at 5 o'clock. Let me be home and be present for my children. And you can also kind of set up a schedule for your kids to let them know, especially if you're working at night or you have something going on, let them know when your break time, mama's going to be with you, daddy's going to be with you at this time frame. But make sure that you make time for your children because it's very important. And even the same thing as in the classrooms, making sure that we have a lot of different things and a lot of requirements now. But if the students sense that you're off someplace else trying to do some other things besides teaching them, that's going to also make them feel that you're not there for them. So you want to do that not only at home, but also in the classroom. Make an effort to be present. If you think about it, present has two meanings. One is an emotion of time, and also being present as far as state of mind. So when you're being present for your children, you're being present for them at this particular time, and it's you and them. Also, one of the key things that you want to do is promoting a healthy living style. Okay. Yes, homework. We got a lot of homework to do, might keep you up at late at night, but you need to cut off the time so that they're able to do their homework and get some sleep. And then also, not only that, you need a balanced diet. We're finding now more and more that an unhealthy diet does a lot of problems with the body, the neurological system, and it impacts greatly on the mental status as well as the physical being of the children, of your children, and also of your students. So make sure that you do have some type of healthy diet for them. And healthy diet, I am sorry to say, does not include running to McDonald's or Burger King because you did not make plans ahead of time to fix something for dinner. I always go back to myself and my relationship with my son. I was a single parent for quite a few years while serving in the military. But the best time my son and I had was cooking together. Okay. And we would have different meals that we would just go ahead and cook from scratch. And we enjoyed it. Now my son, he loves to cook. And usually you, if some of you know, when your kids come home from schools or, as they get older, you're always fixing their favorite meals. Guess what? I tell my son, we're gonna fix together and you're gonna fix me something good because he's a good cook. And this is all from the habits that we instilled when he was younger. So, but it's very key to make sure because if a kid doesn't get enough sleep, he's grumpy, he has an attitude because his body's saying they need rest and we're not giving it to them. So make sure you set times. You're saying if it's 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, go to bed and make sure that they're getting sleep. And sometimes kids may push your button and try to push the boundaries and whine and cry and everything else to keep them to staying up late. But you have to make sure that they're getting to sleep and everything else. And also making sure they have a healthy, balanced meal. And as teachers, sometimes if you notice your kids, if you look to see that they're not really bringing in potato chips or something, it may be the habit that their parents don't know about healthy eating, but it also may be this in some cases, some families are not able to afford meals and a healthy meal. I know there's a lot of agencies out there that helps parents with the food kitchens and everything else. So if you notice that that may be the case in your with your students, you may want to try to make reference to these agencies so that their parents know where they could go ahead and get help and everything else. So my question is, we're going to take a little bit of break, and I want you to think about it. And what do you do to help promote a stress-free time for you, or even for your students? And asking that, how how has it worked? And as Dr. Phil says, and how is it working for you? Does anybody want to share? Well, I know I'll share what I do. Um, yes, meditating with your children at night is so key. It is because it helps actually doing that at night to remove and alleviate a lot of stressors and frustrations that has gone on throughout the day. And also to tell you the truth, doing that in the mornings is also good too as well. I had an employee and she would tell me that she used to hate getting up in the morning because her kids was just bouncing off the walls, and it just made her so antsy and frustrated and everything else. And the kids just went off to school angry and frustrated and hurrying her and rushing. Well, what I suggested to her to do is for her just 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, get up early and do a little bit of meditation. If it's nothing more than just watching a YouTube video with some music, just to calm you down, and then go and get your kids. She tried that for about a week. Within the second week, she noticed that her children was calmer in the morning. Sometimes we don't realize negativity and rushing and hurried type of behavior not only is what we're feeling, it also bounces off to the others. Just like her children, they were very angry and very negative. That energy was transferred over to her. But by her taking control of it and being aware and setting the pace, basically, she started doing that, and that translated over to her children. So sometimes doing that in the mornings also kind of helps too, because now you're setting the day in a very positive note, and you're helping yourself to see the day in a completely different light. And especially the same thing, we'll talk about teachers and everything else, what you can do at work. But that is something that you may want to try to do. And there are so many apps out there. You could just go on YouTube and listen to a 5-10 minute YouTube video. Hands in Harmony does have some um, um, I'm sorry, we do have some videos that we do have access to. This San Antonio School District has purchased some videos and some meditation tips that I've created, and that is available to you for free. We have some that's 5, 10 minutes, and 15-minute long meditation. So you can just go on to your wellness portal, download it, listen to it, or however you could do that. And a lot of people, they say, I can't do meditation, I can't stay still. I can tell you, we've been doing this for about a year, a little over a year and a half, and a lot of people have been staying still because a lot of people afterwards don't talk that much after I'm finished doing my meditation. But try to find different things that you can do to help promote a stress-free zone for yourself, and also to help your children too as well. So teachers, parents, listen, it's your turn. One of the things we always want to do is to inspire and help others, and not only to motivate, not only that, but also to motivate those who, who is a part of our lives. So let's go and talk about what we can do. One of the things that we don't want to do, and when we're facing a lot of stress and anxiety ourselves, it doesn't promote a very good job performance. Chronic stress, whether or not you're a teacher or you're a parent working in a different environment, um, when you're stressed, there's a high absenteeism. You just don't want to go to work. And science now and studies have shown when your mental well-being is borderline between stress and anxiety and depression, when you have a lot of things that's going on with your mental health, you're out sick a lot more often. And not so much maybe because your mental well-being, but if you think about it, when you're sick, when you're anxious and you're depressed, that also impacts your immune system. So one of the things I always ask my clients, and people, they kind of shrug it off to allergies, but if you're out sick almost 5, 6, almost 15, 20 days in a year, that is not allergies. That is your immune system being very much compromised. And because of stress and anxiety, it lowers your immune system, your body's ability to fight off these allergies and these molds, and it makes you sicker each time you're subject to that. So that increases absences. You're not at work all the time and everything else. Also, it causes a lot of teachers to change jobs. And because of a lot of things that's been going on and a lot of the demands that's being placed on teachers now, people are just finding jobs, new jobs somewhere. And as a supervisor, make yourself present not only to your children, but also to your staff. And I've talked to one faculty member, and for the first time, she noticed a change in behavior to one of her employees. And the lady was just about in tears because she was facing with so much stress that she didn't even know. So, and because of that, this lady was planning on quitting because of the stressors. So, stress and anxiety can impact your job and your work environment and causing a very high turnover and disengagement. Sometimes we don't want to become involved anymore. Before you just wanted to be a part of this committee and that committee. Now you just don't want to do anything anymore. You just want to go home and curl underneath the covers and just forget everything. But that's also showing the impact that you're going through something yourself. So becoming more aware. And then also burnout. A lot of people just they're just tired. And we've been going through a lot, but being aware of that and finding practices to help you would definitely go ahead and alleviate that. So what can we do to go ahead and help to minimize your stress? So let's talk about that. Breathing, okay? And some people it's kind of like, that's too simple. I mean, really, something as simple as breathing is going to make a change in my anxiety and stress. Yes, it does. Just doing a practice of deep breathing have shown to help alleviate stress. It changes the wiring in your brain. And we're going to be talking about a lot of these coming up in the next few months, changing the curriculum a little bit. And we're going to talk about the nervous system and the impact of your body and everything else. But yes, breathing, doing deep breathing has shown to make a big difference in that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take 3 minutes and just kind of teach you this technique. And I call it the 4-7-11 breathing technique. And we're going to just do 3 cycles of it. And so what I would like for you to do is to breathe with me. Now, what it's going to be, it's going to be 4-7-11. So what's going to happen? We're going to inhale on a count of 4, hold it for a count of 7, and then exhale on a count of 11. Now, when you're inhaling, you can inhale through your nostrils, holding it, and then exhaling through your mouth. And usually I like to tell people, it's like you just go ahead and purse your lips like blowing little kisses. And by doing that very slowly, will go ahead and help to just change your whole well-being and your whole body. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, if you're nice and comfortable, and I want you to just breathe at your normal pace right now. And now what I want you to do, okay, is take a nice deep breath in. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready to exhale. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now breathe at your normal pace. Now, if you couldn't find yourself holding for a count of 7, that's okay. You hold it for as long as you can. If you find that you're all out of breath by the time and you can only exhale on a count of 5, guess what? That's okay as well. So let's do it again. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing at your own pace right now. So how does it feel, did you see a difference? Did you notice a difference in anything? And this is something that you could do. And then sometimes people, they just don't even think about it. Sometimes if you find yourself at home under a stressful condition and all of a sudden you find yourself taking a nice deep breath, that is your body trying to do something to rewire and to alleviate stress. So your body sometimes will do certain responses to help it relieve stress. But at times we don't listen to our body. So sometimes we need to do some things consciously ourselves. One of the things a lot of people don't do is embracing the stress. Now, who wants to embrace stress? Wait a minute. That sounds kind of crazy. But by not just embracing or being knowledgeable of it, by ignoring it, by pushing it under the rug and putting it in a box and trying to ignore it, you're not really you're not helping yourself because you're ignoring the situation. And then what happens to the Pandora box? When Pandora opened up that box, all the garbage and everything else just came spewing out. And that is what can happen when you don't embrace the stress and not acknowledging it. So going ahead and embracing it and just acknowledge that it's there and what you could do about it. It's okay to be imperfect. Okay. We're not 100%. We cannot do everything 100%. Sometimes people would like for us to be able to do things 100%, but we're all human. So it's okay to be imperfect. Don't beat yourself up. I always like to say emotional first aid. I have a presentation, it's called What's in Your Toolbox. And in that presentation, I talk about different stressors, but I also talk about different tools that you could use to help. So by what you could do is kind of create your own emergency first aid kit. Sometimes some people find themselves that when they're stressed, they go out running or walking, or they do journaling when it's different stressors. But different stressors may require different techniques. So whatever is in your emergency kit, like a Band-Aid, a small Band-Aid, does not stop a first degree burn. You put something on for a first degree burn, which is different than what you put on for a small cut. So the same thing with your emotions and your stressors. Different things going to work for different stressors. So discover what yours is and just kind of go out there and try to do different things. Work smarter, not harder. If you find that you have to work at 11 o'clock at night, that's not smart because you should be in the bed sleeping. Work smart, so try to get everything you need to get done during the work hours. And if you need to hold off to the next day, set your schedule up to where you can go ahead and get that done for the next day. And if it gets to be too much work because you cannot say no, and the boss says, "Can you do this?" You say, "Yes, sir." And they ask you, and then you haven't finished the first project, he's giving you another project, and you say, "Yes, sir." "Oh, yes, ma'am." And you just keep piling it up. That's not smart. No, not at all. So go ahead and work smarter and not harder, and you'll find yourself a lot less stressed. And guess what? When it's time for help, ask for it. We've seen those commercials now where the guy's really hurting. So no, 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 I don't need you. You go ahead and enjoy yourself, and I'm going to go out there and be flying and with no parachute and die. No, ask for help. There's nothing wrong with it. And be grateful. Sometimes we kind of be so involved with so many different things that the little things that we don't even think about. We should try to be grateful for those little things, and then those little things become bigger things. And even finding that being grateful or showing feelings of gratefulness also helps the brain. It also helps to trigger the happy hormones to helping you to feel more calmer. Limit the grass is greener. Okay. How many of you, and I have people do this to me, "Nancy, you handle these situations so well." And I'm kind of looking at, not really. And, but it's, I have done different things and I've learned through the years on how to handle different situations. And so the same thing with you. Don't look and see what the other person is doing and how they're doing it and judging yourself to say, "Well, they're doing it differently than that, and that makes them better than me." No, not necessarily. So don't be, looking at somebody else's situation and seeing how they're handling a very stressful situation, and that under those same conditions you can't do it. That's because you're different and they're different. So the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side. We just have different talents of handling different things. Okay, so let's go ahead and get ourselves started and ready for our meditation. So if you can, get yourself started in a nice seated position. And if you're listening to this video at home after hours, or if right now, if you can, just out of courtesy, turn off your cell phones. If you're watching TV, turn the volume down. If your kids are running around the house, find a very nice quiet place. If you're at work and you don't want your coworkers to see what you're doing, you could probably go into the break room or something, or go outside. But if you do, they may not see the rest of this video. That's for another time. So I want you to go ahead and just find yourself in a nice, calm environment. I want you, if you're sitting on a chair, I want you to plant your feet on the floor. And if your chair is a little bit higher and your feet don't touch the floors very well, just move forward to where your feet are on the floor and get you grounded. Place your hands gently in your lap. And now I want you to just take some nice cleansing breaths. Now, if you want to close your eyes, you can. If you don't want to close your eyes, you can just kind of have what we call a soft gaze downward. Or if you don't want to do that because you don't want people to see what you're doing, you can actually go ahead and watch this video and listen to this music. This particular meditation is going to be about overcoming stressful situations with calmness. So let's get started. So as you're in your nice, comfortable seated position, I want you to take some nice cleansing breaths. Inhale through the nostrils, hold it, and exhale, nice and calm. Inhale and exhale. In all situations, I rely on my calmness and peace of mind to help me overcome. Later, in moments of tranquility, I look inwardly at the effects of stress. Observing them, I renew my determination, take a step back whenever they occur. Taking a nice deep breath in and exhaling. I want you to just start at the top of your head and think about what we just talked about. Relying on your calmness. How does that feel as you're inhaling and exhaling? Focusing on your head. How does that feel? How does your scalp feel? Your hair, the muscles, inhaling and exhaling. Moving down to your face, inhale and exhaling. Feeling the muscles and tension As we find notices any stressors around your eyes, your mouth, or your lips, just be aware of it. You don't have to do anything. Just be conscious that it's there. Moving down to your neck and your shoulders, noticing any tension or stress. Just take a nice deep breath in and out, feeling a warmth of calmness enveloping you around your face, your neck, and your shoulders. Gently inhaling and exhaling. As you move down to your chest and abdomen, how does it feel? You noticing anything? And say to yourself, when I feel my chest start to tighten, I recognize the experience as a manifestation of stress. In times like this, I rely on my calm spirit to ease my tension and allow me to breathe normal again. Inhaling and exhaling. Noticing any tensions just slips away with each breath. As you move down to your abdomen, noticing any tension or stress, just recognize it and just continue to inhale and to exhale, relaxing each muscle with each breath and enveloping yourself with a sense of calmness. I tell myself that no circumstances is worth such a reaction as tension. I am convinced that stress is destructive towards the body, mind, and soul. Feeling the effects of stress means I'm off track. So instead, I let the experience remind me to slow down and to breathe. Being aware of what stress does to your body helps you to create a plan to relieve it. So now as we move towards your hips and your thighs, noticing any tension or any stress in those areas, just breathe in and out, relaxing with each breath. I acknowledge that taxing and worrying circumstances are a part of life. I recognize that the word stress exists because the experience is common. However, I accept that neutralizing stress is more rewarding than allowing it to consume me. Taking a deep breath in and out. Do not allow stress to consume you. Do not allow it to cause you to become off track. Taking a deep breath in and out to feeling relaxed. Inhale and exhale. As you move down to your calves and to your feet, notice any tension and just relax. Just be aware of it. My natural peace of mind, confidence, and motivation are much more fulfilling than a feeling of stress, and they take me where I want to go. I naturally evoke those states of feeling when I make the conscious decision to let stress fall by the wayside. Inhaling and exhaling. Today, I refuse to allow stress to take over. Instead, I commit to allowing calmness and composure to reign supreme. When I'm stress free, I'm peaceful and focused. My goals are within easy reach when tension is absent from my life. So, breathing at your own pace, just relaxing, feeling a warmth from the top of your head, moving down towards your face, towards your shoulders, your abdomen, your legs, your feet, allowing this sense of calmness to envelop you, to surround you, to fill you with a sense of calm that you have not experienced in some time. Breathing at your own pace. I want you to enjoy this moment. And I want you to think about these things and ask yourself this question. You don't have to have an answer, but just think about the question. In what way do I overcome stressful situations? Do I accomplish more when I banish stress from my being? Just reflect on these questions as you're inhaling and exhaling and relaxing. Think about it. Can stress fuel my desire to succeed, or is it counterproductive? Reflect on these and the feelings and thoughts that it promotes, but don't allow yourself to drift in the past. When you find yourself drifting in the past, take a nice deep breath in And exhale and bring yourself to this present moment, to this present time. Do not drift to the future or what will be. When you find yourself wandering, just take a deep breath in and out. And just focus on your breathing in this present moment. And breathing at your own pace, I want you to inhale calmness and exhale stress. With each breath, promoting a cleansing throughout your body. Inhale, exhale. Enjoying the warmth, the peacefulness that you're experiencing right now. And as we get ready to close on this meditation, I want you to embrace this moment of calmness that you're feeling. Hold on to it. And when you're ready, start wiggling your toes, your fingers. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Well, how was that? I hope you enjoyed that meditation and some of the reflective questions that we asked, that it give you something to kind of think about, but not for you to solve at the present moment. I'm going to be giving this script on I overcome stressful situations with a calmness. You're going to get this as a handout, and you just post it somewhere and just kind of reflect on those affirmations. And if you like to do journaling or something like that, you could go ahead and write those questions down and write down your thoughts about it. But basically, as we've been talking about during this presentation, we have a lot of things going on in our world within the last 2 years, between the pandemic and a lot of the violence that's been going on in our backyards and around the world can cause not only ourselves to become very stressful, but our family members, and for those of you who are working in the school system, the students. So one of the things you want to do is recognize that, but also to come up with a plan on how you can go ahead and help not only yourself as parents and teachers and faculty and members and managers, but also how you can help your family, your children, and your students to overcome a lot of the stressors that we all experiencing it. And there's nothing wrong with seeking help, and there's nothing wrong with experience some sadness, but do not let it evoke prolonged periods of time. And when you find that happening, go ahead and seek help. Well, this concludes our presentation. And that's my contact information if anybody has any questions or would like to talk. But if there's any questions or anything, you can take yourself off of mute and we could kind of go from there and answering those questions.